Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Talking Wrestling TXN. It is Golem F. Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio. We are awaiting the arrival of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, then great. If he doesn't, then I guess we'll see him on Tuesday night. We are here for Vengeance Day, the NXT latest premium live event. We do apologize for being at least an hour late because we initially said we were going to do the show at 10:30. However, there was a major hockey game going on, and there was no way in hell myself, Anthony Florio, or even Michael Bullock was going to be like, no, you know what? Let's do it during that. No, this game was too big. USA, Canada in the Four Nations face off. This was the big one. This was the most highly anticipated game, and it was right out of the gate, tempers flaring, 3 fights in 9 seconds. Somebody called Jim Lampley, somebody called Joe Tessitore, somebody called Mauro Ranallo because we didn't have a hockey fight. It was literally fight night in Montreal. But when it was all said and done, the Stars and Stripes, the red, white, and blue, the land of the free and the home of the brave, the United States of America, takes down the brothers from the north. The Canadians are drowning in sorrow tonight as the Americans kicks the door down, makes themselves at home, and takes them out by the final score of 3-1 to not only win, but now they cement their place in the final that goes down on Thursday night in Boston at the TD Garden in our own backyard. We're about 90 minutes to 2 hours from Boston. And let me tell you, to go for the USA to play in the final, now it's going to be nuts. If you thought Canada was loud for their team, imagine what the Americans are going to be doing, knowing that their team is playing in the final, and to do it in, well, I'll openly admit it, maybe one of the best hockey towns in all of America. You know, you can talk about in Minnesota, you can talk about New York, you can say Boston is definitely a hockey town, and now you'll get to see it in its in glory, and it's in love and affair and everything going down on Thursday night. However, there are some games on Monday that needs to be played. US will play Sweden, Finland will play Canada. We'll get into all that on Thursday night when we recap that everything about the tournament on the next edition of TXN Sports World that will be going down on Thursday night, hosted by Anthony Florio, alongside the All-Star Game weekend that's going on. And I must say this, NHL, and I'm just going to make this very brief, Gary Bettman and NHL, I got to give it to you guys. This tournament has been absolutely amazing. It's been great. I mean, all the games have been very good. We only had one blowout throughout this entire tournament, which was the USA and Finland. That was a massacre. But all the games are very hard hitting. They're very temperamental. And you can notice that there is pride in this game. There is pride with these four countries. And this may be the blueprint of what should happen during the All-Star weekend or the All-Star week from now on. I know the NFL is almost impossible to do because there's no way that you can do something like this. But NBA, I think you should take notes right about now. And if I'm Major League Baseball, I would actually consider putting the World Baseball Classic during the summer. In this week of breakaway, I think what Major League Baseball should do is bring the World Baseball Classic to the summer. Put it right here during the midseason and do the tournament that way. Even though I will openly admit that the last World Baseball Classic during the spring training era was, in my opinion, the best WBC we ever had. Like, there was so much pride, so much everything. Any type of international competition should be played in the midseason now. I really feel like this is really going to take off, and it helps the NHL. This is definitely helping the NHL going into that second half of the year because the ratings are actually pretty good for this tournament. I cannot wait to see what that number is tonight for USA and Canada, what that number is going to look like. Because I believe there's a chance that number could be at least 3 to 5 million people. Maybe more. You don't know. Because it was on ABC and on ESPN Plus if you're a streamer. But on Canada, it was on TSN, which is one of their biggest broadcasting companies in the world. I believe that number is going to be massive for USA and Canada. And I do believe that if this is what the NHL had envisioned of 4 nations during the All-Star weekend, they might want to start considering doing this more often. As a matter of fact, they did announce that next year they're taking the 2-week break because of the Olympics, because the Winter Olympics is next year. But in 2027, they've already announced that they're bringing back the World Cup of hockey. And it's going to be in this All-Star break era. This might be a gold mine for hockey, not just for the U.S., not just for Canada, but for the rest of the hockey world. If they play their cards right, if the IHF plays their cards right and the NHL plays their cards right, this thing could be, this could be like World Baseball Classic level epicness. We talk about the WBC, how their past tournament was the greatest ever. Having USA and Japan at the end. I think if this is going to work, this type of format is going to be the way that we could see hockey. Do away with the All-Star weekend. Do away with the All-Star game because I don't think we need to do it anymore. You bring a mid-season tournament like this, an international mid-season tournament. Anthony Florio, this is a recipe for greatness. And to me, Gary Bettman and the boys in the NHL should be commended. They took a chance. They took a risk by doing a 4 nations tournament. And to me, so far, they've hit a home run with this tournament.
They have absolutely hit a home run with this 4 nations face-off. And that was, we've had only one bad game so far. But other than that, they have been down to we've had 2 overtime games already. And I'll say it like this. I 100% agree with everything you said. I think, let's be realistic. When it comes to the All-Star game, they don't put any effort into that. They don't. Why don't we do something like this all the time where you saw the effort they put in tonight? You don't get that kind of an effort in an All-Star game. You don't. And what I think they should do is they should do away with the All-Star game completely. And we do this And we do this every year going forward, with the exception of Olympic years, of course, because we already have the Olympics. Think about it like this. With the talent that we have on all 4 teams, this is kind of like multiple all-star games. I mean, you can make an argument that every team in this tournament is an all-star caliber team. And because of this, you're getting the all-star, the all-star aspect of it. So what they should do is, just keep this going. I mean, I know there will be some people that'll miss the all-star game, and I understand, but those are showcases, and those are, meaningless exhibition games. I mean, look what the NFL did. The NFL has those Pro Bowl games. Nobody gave a damn about the Pro Bowl, and the Pro Bowl games seem to be working. I wish they would do this. I wish they would do this for Major League for all the All-Star games. Honestly, I mean, the NBA, they're going to tinker with a new format starting tomorrow night, and I'm very intrigued to see where that goes. And if it ends up working, and if it ends up being a success, I think they should do away with their All-Star game as well, because that's a glorified exhibition game as well with no effort whatsoever. All it is look at me, and trying to outdo the other. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see, the flippy floppy stuff. We don't want to see that. We want to see hard fought competitive games. That's what it's all about. And I mean, yes, Gary Bettman has gotten a lot of flack over the years for some things he's done in the NHL as commissioner, but coming up with this format here, this 4 nations face-off, is one of the best decisions he has ever made. And I commend him and the rest of the NHL suits for making this. And these games have been far better than any All-Star game that I can remember in recent memory. So get rid of that, that funny ha-ha, look at me nonsense. And let's have some close, competitive, hard-fought games like what we've been seeing, and especially tonight. So yeah, I commend it. I love it. I can't tell you how much I have enjoyed it thus far, and I don't know what else there is to say. So, MF, I 100% agree with everything that you have said about this, and I commend you for addressing it. And so that's really all I can honestly say about it. So do away with the All-Star games completely, and let's have some meaningful, hard-fought competition with an international flair, and may the best team win.
Yeah.
Period. End of statement. End of quotation. Let's get to Vengeance Day.
All right. And like we said, we'll get more into this on Thursday night on TXN Sports World when Anthony Florio hosts, because we will do a full recap of all of the tournament games, including the final that will be going down Thursday night, 10:30, right here. Well, not here, but on the Tone 25. All right. Let's do indeed get into Vengeance Day. So we started out with the North American Championship match, the women's North American title on the line, as the champion, Fallon Henley, goes up against Stephanie Vauquer. And when it was all said and done, winner of the bout in 15:01, and new NXT Women's North American Champion, Stephanie Vauquer. She did it. She won the title. Not a big surprise here. History was made. Unprecedented crowning in a 3.5-star bout. Very solid, good opener. Good action all the way around. But the outcome was never in doubt. We were both saying it. Anthony and myself were both predicting it, that Stephanie was going to win the title. She does win the championship. And now the title belongs to her. And my goodness, Anthony Florio, we talked about the excitement when she came in She was one of the hottest names coming into WWE, coming into that NXT brand. We thought that maybe she would have been the one to win the NXT women's title. However, she gets the women's North American championship, but her eyes is definitely on the women's title itself. But right now, she's got her first championship in NXT, the first championship in WWE, maybe the first of many to come for the beauty from Chile. So, new champion, Stephanie Vauquer.
And I know you couldn't be any happier with that, MF. I mean, because wink, wink, we all know. We know how smitten you are with her, and I don't blame you. You're not the only one. I mean, there's a whole lot of boys out there who are feeling her just as much as you are. But anyways, all kidding aside, while the champion, Fallon Henley, put in the best singles performance of her NXT career, this was all about Stephanie Vauquer. The focus was on her resilience and then her versatility, making her too much for Henley to overcome. While it could be argued she is above the Women's North American Championship, a run with that title should help elevate that belt. She and Julia, I believe, will be fighting to one-up each other time and again. This was a good match, but they may have gotten too much time as they struggled to keep the pace in the middle stretch. It is still best in the end to give more time than less, and Henley went out looking like someone who will remain a top competitor in NXT going forward. Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, Carmen Petrovic, they watched in the crowd, indicating they could be future challengers. Crowd was vocally behind Stephanie Vauquer. You heard the Stephanie chants. And Corey Graves noted that Stephanie Vauquer became the first South American-born champion in WWE history. Great accomplishment. So, and by the way, speaking of Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, and Carmen Petrovic, this Tuesday night on NXT, those three are gonna meet in a triple threat number one contenders match, and the winner of that match will be the first challenger for Stephanie Vauquer and the NXT Women's North American Championship. And that literally can go either way. It honestly can. My gut's telling me Kalani Jordan for some odd reason, because of some recent interactions that they've had. So, I also wouldn't be surprised if they saved that title match for the theater in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think it's going to be Kalani, because I don't think it's going to be, even though I know a lot of people would like to see Jada Parker, I think Jada might be in line for maybe the title herself. I think she might be, because, well, we'll get into some of the other stuff later on in the evening, but based off the action that happened here tonight, I think Jada Parker might, even though I don't think she's going to win the North American, she might have her eyes on the big title, the women's championship. But like I said, we'll get into it. We'll get into that in just a little bit, because there is one other person that showed up to the table that we're going to have to get into. Well, we will definitely get into it tonight.
3.5 stars is my rating for this as well.
All right.
So let's move on to the next match.
Next up, NXT Tag Team titles on the line. Nathan Frazier and Axiom goes up against Josh Briggs and I guess it's Yosuke Iramora. If I pronounced their name wrong, I apologize.
No.
What?
Yoshiki Inamura.
Yoshiki Iramura. Okay. The Spanish comes out a lot more than the Japanese. My apologies on that. Winners of the bout, 10 minutes and 24 seconds, and still the NXT Tag Team Champions, Frazier, Axiom. They did it. They won it. Anthony Florio, it's yours.
I might be overrating this, but 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. I mean, Nathan Frazier and Axiom were overwhelmed by the sheer power of Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. And I'll tell you what, this match might have stolen the whole show. Everyone involved was flying and making the most of the moment despite the limited story behind this bout. The secret weapons in NXT are Fraxium, but the MVP of this match was Inamura. Inamura has barely worked a match in NXT, yet he got over in a big way through his in-ring work. He was physically explosive and powerful, throwing the champions around. With each successful title defense, it is harder to imagine the next man up is going to dethrone Fraxium. This would have been a powerful statement win for an up-and-coming duo with high potential. Instead, it looks like NXT is heavily betting on a young alliance of Performance Center athletes to challenge the best tag team in WWE today. On paper, this was a solid debut, but 4 unknowns in masks going after the top stars is rarely a winning formula. They will need to buck a trend that has caused more seasoned talent to fail in similar spots. And Corey Graves put over Josh Briggs's growth back to his independent days working with Damian Priest. The crowd responded loudly to Inamura's physical style, battering his opponents with chops. And Inamura allowed Axiom to chop him, but after realizing he wasn't winning that fight, he caught him with a golden ratio. And Axiom planted Inamura with a Spanish fly, and then Briggs chokeslammed Frazier into Axiom off the top rope. Holy hell, what a match. Like I said, I might be overrating this, but I don't give a damn. 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Excellent match. So go out of your way to see it if you were unable to. So not much more for me to say. MF, holy hell, what a match.
All right. Slight disagreement, but I'm going to go 3.25 to 3.5. You're right there. I just think it was a slight overreach. 3 3/4, I don't see it. I will say, yes, you can make an argument for 3.5. And I could even say 3.25 might be more of the appropriate score. But it's still a hell of a fight. Everything you mentioned is exactly what I was going to say. So there's really nothing more to add on that. And we'll just move right on along. Next up, we had Eddie Thorpe versus Trick Williams in a strap match. Winner of the bout in 10 minutes and 58 seconds was Eddie Thorpe. He knocks off Trick Williams in an upset. Mike Bullock, just hang tight. We'll get you in just a second. But I will say this. Upset of the night. Nobody saw this coming. But I will admit this. The ending was very weak, and I did not like the ending of this match. For me, this was, I'm going to say it, worst fight of the night, even though there was nothing bad about the match. I can only give this 2.25 to 2.5 stars. I know I'm being a little harsh. I probably am being very harsh, but that's my rating, 2.25 to 2.5. Anthony Floyo, why don't you come on in, give me your thoughts, and then I'll catch Bullock up on what he missed.
What was it? What was the time of the fall again?
10:58.
Yeah. Let's see. It is far too rare to see matches this physical in WWE. And Eddie Thorpe dragged Trick Williams down to where he thrives. And he looked as good as he ever has in NXT. This is the style of match that could help Trick stand out on the main roster. He needs to be able to lay in his shots against competitors that will lay it in right back. It is clear this is why Trick and Thorpe were paired together. No one since Ilya Dragunov has pulled this out of Trick and made him look truly dangerous. It is difficult to build fresh main event heels if they cannot win in the big moments. Luckily, NXT was not afraid to give Trick the loss in this moment. Suddenly, Thorpe has shown he can back up his words with actions, and NXT, maybe they could extend this rivalry possibly with an NXT Underground match down the road. But I will give this, I'm actually going to go lower than this, MF. I'm actually going to give it 2 stars for the rating. I 100% agree. It was the worst fight of the night. You were being a little bit generous there. 2 stars. Actually, I'm actually going to give this 1.5 to 2. That's the best I can honestly give it. When I heard that rating, I'm like, wow, okay. So somewhat generous on that one, MF. 1.5 to 2. That's the correct rating for this match. And I do agree. It was the worst fight of the night. Even though it wasn't remotely all that bad, but still. But there is one big takeaway, though. Regardless of how the match was, Eddie Thorpe just picked up the biggest win of his NXT career. When you beat someone the caliber of a Trick Williams, who is hands down the most over guy in NXT, and you beat him cleanly, he might be on our radar. We now have a reason to take Eddie Thorpe seriously. So
I don't think I can really call what he did cleanly when he uses the strap to do a low blow and then does I want to say it was like a Bone Psycho knee or a variation, huh?
It was a backdoor win.
Yeah, or like when
various means.
Yeah, when you're using the strap to low blow your opponent, even though it's legal, I think it's legal in a strap match. Yeah, it's within the rules. It just felt like a cheap victory more than anything else. Let's say that.
Tainted victory. Yeah. Hollow victory, I'll even call it.
Yeah.
So, but regardless, by hook or by crook, it is the biggest win of Eddie Thorpe's career.
Oh, total agreement on that. Yes.
We can't deny him that.
Nope. So, and we will not deny him that. He deserves that moment.
Yes. So maybe Eddie Thorpe could be in line for some bigger and better things down the road. So we'll see what happens. 1.5 to 2 for me. Worst fight of the night. I do agree with you on that. Disagree with your rating respectfully, but that's how I saw it. So
okay.
Not much more to say. Phenom Michael Bullock, come on in. MF's going to catch you up. Mr.
All right. All right, Bullock. You only got 2 matches to catch up, and then obviously the latest match we just did. Stephanie Valcour versus Fallon Henley for the North American Championship. Stephanie wins the title in 15:01.
Yeah, this was definitely a good match to start off Vengeance Day. She finally becomes the Women's North American Champion. And so, yeah, I'm going to give this about maybe 3.5, 3 3/4.
Okay. Nathan Frazier and Axiom successfully defends their tag team titles, winning the match in 10 minutes and 24 seconds.
I'll give this about maybe 3 3.25. I mean, once again, Nathan Frazier and Axiom continue their reign as champs. And, I mean, the thing is, we keep wondering when they're going to lose the belts. And, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we keep guessing it's going to be. I mean, we keep thinking. I mean, especially as the time that there was some fraction with their partnership, but they overcome it and are still the champs. So, nothing more to say.
And now the latest match that we just talked about: Michael Bullock, Eddie Thorpe versus Trick Williams, and Eddie Thorpe winning the match in 10:58.
This was very disappointing, to say the very least. I mean, I was expecting so much out of this match, and it just, I'm sorry to say this, Fletch, it just left a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, yes, it is the biggest win for him, but yeah, he didn't do it cleanly, even though it is legal in a strap match, but you know how I am. I mean, even in a match like this, it just didn't sound right. So, I'm sorry, Florio. You were even a little more generous. I mean, I'm actually going to go, I can only give this 1.25. So, I'm sorry. It just left a bitter taste in my mouth. I mean, yes, the action was good, but it just didn't leave me saying wow with this. So sorry, that's just how I truly feel.
All right. We're going to reset to the top here, guys. So next up we had was Ethan Page versus Javon Evans, where Ethan Page winning in 12 minutes. Somewhat of a surprise outcome that Ethan Page won, but again, almost the same thing with the Eddie Thorpe. Not a spectacular. It wasn't a spectacular victory. Yes, Ethan gets the win, which is good for him. He needs it. Javon's not going to lose anything with this loss. It was a solid match for what it was worth. But again, I wasn't overly surprised, or I wasn't like overly great about the win. So yes, 12 minutes, ample time, fair enough time, but I can only give this about maybe 2.25, 2.5. Anthony Florio, it's yours.
1.25, 1.5. Again, much like the previous match, this was about showing that one of NXT's best young stars can get physical. The young OG may have been flying throughout, but he also made those moves count, hitting them with impact. Major credit goes to Ethan Page, bumping big for Javon Evans. But Evans also delivered with his aggressive focus and solid selling. The pace throughout was tight, helped by Evans' wild style and Page's technical ability. The majority, and here's why we rate this 1.25, 1.5. The majority of Page's offense focused on the ankle, allowing the big shot on the jaw to feel more shocking. Right man won. If Evans won here, it would have likely ended the rivalry. Instead, NXT continued to build up the young OG as the underdog seeking his ultimate revenge. And, of course, we all know Javon Evans had to sign that liability waiver, that letter of indemnification, to compete in this match, as one shot to his mouth could end his career. But after the match was over, you noticed Evans could be seen once again bleeding from his mouth. And Evans stomped on the jaw of Page as revenge, sending All Ego reeling. So yeah. Second worst fight of the night for me. 1.25, 1.5 stars. That's actually the correct rating and the appropriate rating for this match. So that's all I can say about it. 1.25, 1.5 for me. So Bullock, let's get your thoughts on this.
Again, very disappointing. I mean, you start off NXT with a very good opener for the NXT Women's North American Championship, and then you give us back-to-back matches like this. No, that's just, I just don't like this at all. So it's another 1.25 for me as well. I mean, the second worst fight of the night, exactly. So I don't know what else is there to say except it's your Sledge.
NXT Championship on the line in a triple threat. The champion Obafemi versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Winner of the bout, 13 minutes and 12 seconds. And still the NXT champion, the ruler, Obafemi. However, that moment was short-lived because Oba got jumped after the match. Oh, man. Somebody came out there and made a statement on the champ. Anthony Florio. Whoa. All I can say.
3.25, 3.5. Now, this was more like it. This was 3.25, 3.5 for me. This was a pure highlight reel bout elevated by Obafemi's infectious energy. The crowd was completely behind him, destroying his competition. Because his opponents were A-Town Down Under, it never felt like the ruler was truly in danger. But this was always going to be more of a championship elevation moment over a true challenge. As far as the new stable goes, I thought this was a better presentation than the first appearance, helped by more dramatic lighting, though hurt by the odd choice to play music during the attack. It seems like NXT is trying to recreate the magic of the Shield, skull masks, power bombs, crowd invasion with this crew. But that is a high ceiling to reach for anyone. This probably should have been the only time the group appeared on this show. But either way, NXT certainly made some new stars overnight. And I don't know what else there is to say on that. Austin Theory did get a major hope spot, though. He caught Femi with the A-Town down, but Grayson Waller pulled the referee out of the ring. Waller sent Femi through a table at ringside with a diving elbow, and Theory tried to pick up the win. And then A-Town down finally started truly arguing. Theory got Femi on his shoulders, but Femi caught Waller for a suplex as all three fell to the mat. And yeah, this was more like it after those two snoozer matches. So this definitely woke me back up. I'll tell you that right now. The previous match was so boring, I took a cat nap during it. That's how bored I was with that match.
But the last two matches were, I actually fell asleep.
Me too. You're gonna give me a boring match. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take a snooze. I don't give a damn. So the only way you're gonna keep my attention is if you give me a reason to care. And those three young men tonight, they gave me a reason to care. Excellent match, and definitely much like it. That was more like it. So definitely got me back up and going again. 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5. Right guy won. This was the lock of the show, no doubt about it. And what a match it was. But Michael Bullock, it looks like you got a major problem on your hands now. Oh boy, with this Shield-like stable. You thought the Shield was dangerous? Oh, these young men are like, hold our beers.
Yeah, they're like Shield, Retribution. Huh. You haven't seen anything yet. And that's what they did, not just after this match, but what they did after the tag team title match. It's like they're basically like saying, hey, we're sending a message, and this group is not to be taken lightly. So, yeah, 3 1/4, 3.5 for this match. I mean, now this was definitely more like it after those two snoozers that really left me sleeping during the. So, yeah, I mean, the champ stays the champ, but Obafemi, like you said, he may have won the match, but after he got attacked, he certainly didn't look like a winner. So there's really nothing more to say. It's yours, Fletch.
Sorry, forgot to unmute my mic. No, solid matchup. 3 1/4, 3.5. Yeah, this definitely jumped the show back into a good rhythm and everything else. And the next match just took it over the top, in my opinion. But I'll digress. Obafemi winning. Great victory for him. This mystery group, whatever this group is, oh man. And like Anthony Floyo said, they not struck once, they struck twice. So that means there's definitely a tag team involved. So they got their eyes on the tag team titles. And you also got somebody or someone in that group might be also thinking about the world title itself, the NXT Championship. Maybe one of these guys could be going after North American. So Tony D'Angelo, watch out. If that's the case, now we got a situation. Now the question is, who are these guys? Who's in there? And what is the meaning of all of this? What's their game? What's the end game? What are they looking for? What is it that they want in NXT? What is their mission? What are they trying? Why are they here? That's the $1 million question. We'll see how that plays out. So next up, Michael Bullock gets to lead off on this. The main event of the evening, the Fatal 4-Way for the NXT Women's Championship. The champion, Julia, goes up against Bayley, Roxanne Perez, and Cora Jade. When it was all said and done, the winner of the bout in 18 minutes and 31 seconds, and still the NXT Women's Champion, Julia. After the match was over, Stephanie Valcour comes out just to congratulate the champion. You saw Stephanie's eyes on the belt while both of them were with their respective titles, and then the siren went off. The police siren went off. The crowd went nuts, and comes out Jordynne Grace. She shows up in the ring, officially a member of NXT, and Jordynne is looking at both women. And, well, now the question is, what belt is she going after first? Because she had her eyes on both titles. It wasn't just she was looking at the NXT Championship, Michael Bullock. Jordynne Grace also had her eye on the North American title as well.
Yeah, she definitely had an eye on both of them. But if I'm going to be quite honest with you, Fletch, I think she's going to go after the Women's North American Championship first. Because, I mean, she just signed, and I think it would be too soon to have her go after the women's title, but you never know. They could surprise us, and she could go after the women's title. So we'll see. But yeah, Jordynne Grace officially with WWE, and of course, no surprise, going with NXT. And from the dirt sheets I've been hearing, they think that she's not going to be in NXT for long. I mean, we'll see how long it is, but this was definitely a great main event to close out the this edition of Vengeance Day. I'll give this about maybe, well, I'll give this fight in the night. I'm going to give this 3 3/4. So nothing more to say. It's yours.
Apologize, second time tonight. The mic was not working for me. All right. Great main event. Solid matchup, no doubt about it. I could even say that this was one of the highlights of the evening for me. Yeah, this was a great main event. 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. You could even make an argument for 4. You could. I thought the women did an incredible job. This was a great main event. Julia winning, no big surprise. Seeing Stephanie Valcour and Julia in the same ring together, cool moment. Very cool to see them together at the end. I think we all were like, all right, maybe we're looking at Stand and Deliver. Maybe this might be the main event for Stand and Deliver. I don't think none of us heard that, was going to expect that siren going off, because the minute that did, I kind of was like, oh! Anthony Floyd was like, oh boy. And I know Michael Bullock's probably like, I'm Marone. What type of mess do I have now on my hands? Because he's thinking Stephanie Valcour, Julia, Jordynne Grace in the ring together. Oh, what a mess. But this is a good mess to have. This solidifies NXT as the top women's division in the world right now. And they talk about it. They talked about how great the women's division is in NXT now. I don't think there's much of an argument right now to say that, because of this. That last image that we saw of 3 of the most, you can say, probably 3 of the hottest top level female wrestlers in the world today. When you talk about Jordynne Grace, Stephanie McCord, and Julia at the end of this, Anthony Flair was yours. I can't even top that. I can't top this. This is madness right now.
And I'll even go as far as to say this. This is why NXT's women's division is so better. Take notes, AEW, on how you could improve your freaking women's division.
MF, you called it a madness? How about a beautiful madness? That's what it is. Making this match a fatal four-way at the last minute changed the complexion of this bout and delivered more action than drama. On paper, this was by far the fight of the night and deserving of the main event spot. However, it could not keep up with a strong show of physical drama and major highlights. Everyone hit their spots for the camera, but the pace was fairly flat, never rising to the level of the top contests on this night. It was clear that the crowd particularly wanted to see Julia and Bayley, which may have been an easier bet. At this point, NXT may already be moving on to Julia and Jordynne Grace instead. This is only the beginning of Julia's reign, who will get plenty of chances to face the best in NXT. The only unlikely match to come would be Julia versus Perez, as this felt like a send-off for the Prodigy. Julia has main evented 2 NXT PLEs in a row, and Deadline was the only show in 2024 where the women main evented. It is clear the Beautiful Madness is highly valued in NXT. Hopefully this will lead to more main events with Julia, particularly with more story behind the action. And in the locker room, Stephanie McCord promised to stick around to watch the main event. Crowd was fully behind Bayley from the opening bell. And Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez teased working together until Cora Jade kneed Roxanne Perez intentionally into Julia. But a small constructive criticism aside, this was still the fight of the night for me. Solid 4 stars for me. So with that being said, we move on now to our overall review.
At the end of the night, this was a mixed bag. The first 2 fights were really good. The final 2 fights were really good. It just lost its way in the middle, and that really hurt the show. Maybe 6.5 is where I can go. I know that's a little bit of a harsh rating, but that's kind of how I felt. This was kind of a thumbs in the middle for me. But there was more positives than negatives. I will openly admit that. But the negatives were definitely a glaring, like, whoa, what is this? NXT will get it right. They'll get it right. And oh, by the way, we got Ariana Grace, but more importantly, Santino Marella. Our boy is back. He showed up on NXT, and they're talking about maybe more collaboration between TNA and NXT. You know, based off the conversation that Santino and Ava was having here tonight. So this partnership has been nothing but fabuloso, is all I can say. So that was definitely a non-highlight for me, especially seeing Santino. The crowd pop. We loved it. So, yeah, Anthony Flair, it's all yours.
Consistency is rare across an entire premium live event. But NXT delivered just that over the course of this show. It was not a moment of major high, but rather a strong night of in-ring highlights for the top stars of NXT. While NXT's women's division keeps growing as the strongest element of the entire brand, much of this night was driven by NXT's growing men's main event scene. In particular, Eddie Thorpe and All Ego Ethan Page walked out of the night looking like dangerous heels at the top of the card while pushing their rivals to get more physical than ever. Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura stole the show with wild, explosive action and a result that could have gone either way by the end. Julia and Stephanie McCord had solid nights, walking out with their titles, but the real work comes next. They both need to elevate the talent around them to deliver at the highest level. The major talking point will likely be NXT's new mass stable, but they are still least likely to be the group that led this talented roster to a great 2025. So I'm going to meet MF in the middle here. I'm going to give it between 6.5 and 7 for me. So if those two matches had delivered, we would have been looking at an all-timer of a show. But those two non-championship, go figure, all the title matches delivered, but the two non-championship matches were both on the side. So that's all I can say on that. If not for that, it would have been a much higher rating. 6.5 to 7. That's the best I can do. So, Mr. NXT, Michael Bullock, take it home.
Yeah, it's a 6 for me. I mean, those two matches, the two non-championship matches were the ones that really brought this to be a 6. I mean, if it were a lot better, we'd be talking maybe a really good premium live event. But it is what it is. So a 6 for me. Fletch, let's put a bow on this.
Yeah, we're out of here. So on Tuesday night, we do it all over again with a new edition of Ridiculously Raw, hosted by Anthony Florio, as he'll be covering Monday Night Raw and NXT. On Thursday night, it's another edition of TXN Sports World, as we will be recapping basically the All-Star Weekend in the NBA, and then of course the Four Nations tournament that we briefly talked about, that we briefly touched on at the beginning of the show. And if there's any other news or views that we feel like that could be addressed, we'll add it on to the show. So we don't know. Maybe it could be hot stove stuff. It could be, if there's any significant coaching hires or trades or whatnot. We'll get into it, and we'll get into all that on Thursday. And then on Friday, it's another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, as we'll be doing TNA Wrestling and SmackDown Live. So, for Anthony Florio, for Michael Bullock, I am Michael Fletcher. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Like the video, leave a comment, share with all your friends on all the social media platforms around the world. We'll see you all on Tuesday night for Ridiculously Raw on the Tone 25. Until then, this is Golem F. Michael Fletcher saying so long, everybody.